Hi, this is Terry, and what you're about to see is my review of the Jehovah's Witness DVD. I decided to release it unedited the way it was. Later on, I might do an edited version of it, but I thought for first releasing it, I'll do the unedited one so you can see how I really felt right after I got done spending the 2.5 hours watching it. There were two documentaries on the DVD, as you'll see in my review, and the second one just was really long, really tiring. So, I hope you really enjoy this video and get something out of it, and it is helpful to you. So enjoy. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Terry, and in this video I am going to be reviewing a DVD that no Christian needs to watch. No matter if you're Protestant, Catholic, or Orthodox, you do not need to watch this DVD. I spent 2.5 hours watching it, so you don't have to. I'm going to review it and tell you why you don't need to see it. There's probably places online where you can watch it for free. I paid $1 at a thrift store. I'm not saying which thrift store. Right, here we go. Here's what the cover looks like. I'm covering up the name of the thrift store. So it's Jehovah's Witnesses, and the first documentary is Organized to Share the Good News, and the second one is Our Whole Association of Brothers. There's very few quotes from the Bible, and most of the time when they quote it, unless you know the Bible, you're not going to notice that they're quoting the Bible in the 5 times they quote from it in the documentaries themselves. At the beginning, before the first documentary starts, they put a Bible quote on screen and tells you it's Matthew 24:14. That particular verse is translated fine. There's nothing wrong with their translation of that verse there. Then after that documentary, there's another Bible quote from the Old Testament. Now, I don't know enough Hebrew to be able to say whether or not that quote is accurate to the Hebrew or not. Although I could probably check it against multiple English translations that are not Jehovah's Witness and see how close that is. Which I probably might do at some point before I figure out what I'm going to do with this thing. Like I said, don't bother getting this. Don't bother watching it. It's not worth it. There's nothing in here that's going to help you evangelize or share the gospel with a Jehovah's Witness. The first documentary summarizes their history and it glosses over things. Then it goes into the structure of the organization, and again, they gloss over some details. Then they go into how they distribute the literature around the world, how they print it, how they translate it. And they point out an interesting thing that they claim is they claim that they can translate their Watchtower magazine to 100 languages simultaneously with software they developed. And so they're able to get that magazine out in 100 languages all at the same time, all around the world. They also show how people are educated in the Bible and the Jehovah's Witnesses, from children all the way up to people fairly high up in the organization. Because as you get up in the organization, they have Bible schools, or yeah, I would say they're called Bible schools. That's almost what they call them. And the whole purpose of those Bible schools is to teach how to preach their translation of the Bible the way the organization wants it preached. There are a couple of clips with governing body leaders, but this is from 2006, so they're not current governing body leaders. At least I don't think any of them were current ones. Because one of them that they show, I think, was for the first time in their history kicked out of the organization. and I don't remember his name. I want to say it's something Morris. Sorry, I don't know his name. But watching ex-Jehovah's Witnesses YouTube channels, and they'll talk about that. Also, they're a better source for information on talking to Jehovah's Witnesses than this documentary is. This was made by the Jehovah's Witnesses and distributed by them. It says right on the back, copyright 2006, Watchtower Bible and Tracts Society of Pennsylvania. There are some interesting scenes, like them showing how they come up with the page layout for their magazines. That was kind of interesting. Another interesting scene was how they practice door-to-door evangelization. They rehearse it. Trying to think of what some of the other scenes were that were interesting. I mean, nothing was great. None of it was really that different than anything you would get from another organization. Because, like, even Protestants and Catholics can practice sharing the gospel with people. So that's nothing surprising. Then later in that first documentary, they show how they go to remote areas to preach the gospel. Also, they showed how people, and then, that's in the second documentary. But yeah, in the first documentary, they show how they get to the remote areas to preach the gospel. And they talk about how they, as an organization, are focused on sharing the gospel. In the second documentary, it shows how the gospel applies to all the different all the different cultures, nationalities, and languages. And they show how people in remote parts of the world get to meetings. They show how the different nations prepare for conventions. Basically, the second one was really long and there wasn't really much to it. They talk about the aftermath of natural disasters, what they do then. And in those situations, they first go and help the Jehovah's Witnesses that were affected by it. Then they go and help the wider community. They also talk about how the gospel unifies them and how it affects people going through traumatic situations, how it strengthens their faith, which is the kind of thing you'll see in any religion's documentaries. Back to the first one, another interesting scene was this two sections. There were two other interesting sections. One was on blood transfusions, where this is an example of how, like, if you don't know the Bible, you're not going to know what they're talking about. As far as blood transfusions, they don't quote any Bible verses. They just make the claim that the Hebrew manuscripts and the Greek manuscripts do not permit Christians to receive blood transfusions. And then they just move on to the next topic. No quoting any Bible verses, no quoting any sources, even from outside the Bible, from the ancient world, that would say anything about that. So they just state that one claim and just move on as if it's a fact. Then there was one other thing, that first documentary that was, they showed a scene I wasn't expecting. They showed their version of communion, where, and I had heard stories about this, but this is the first time I've actually seen footage of it, where they take the wine or grape juice or whatever they use and they hand it to the first person in the row, and they just keep passing it down the road. Nobody sips from it. And then they have the bread or crackers or whatever it looked like. It looked like crackers in the video. but the bread, I'll call it bread, and they would take the plate of bread and just pass along, and nobody receives the bread, which is weird because in the Gospels and even in 1 Corinthians, we're told we're supposed to receive this. We're supposed to have the blood, receive the blood, and receive the Eucharist. It's just weird to me to see that. No offense to them, but it's weird to me. There were some things that they do that remind me of Latter-day Saints. There's some things they do in here that remind me of just any Christian form of religion. So there's really nothing of value in here for evangelization. If you're just curious about like seeing them go about their daily lives doing Jehovah's Witness things like standing on corners, handing out literature, or knocking on doors, there's some footage of that. There's footage of them practicing those things. There's footage of their printing presses. There's footage of their, I don't even remember what they called it, where they store all the food for disasters. Sorry. So I just can't think of anything in here that would be worth watching unless you're like in like me, into anthropology or sociology. If you're into anthropology and sociology, I mean, there's a tiny bit of value. But from a religion point of view, of Christianity and wanting to share the gospel, there's nothing in here. Zero. There are better things to consume. I would say a better movie to watch is Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's a science fiction movie. It has far more value than this. If you're going to pick a movie to watch and you have the choice of Plan 9 and this, I would go with Plan 9. Actually, any movie would be better than watching this. Yeah. Not just as a Catholic, not just as a Christian, but just as someone who likes documentaries, there's not really anything here that needs to be seen. There are plenty of other sources to get better information from. I don't know what to do with this DVD now. Don't want to give it away because I don't want someone else's 2 hours to be sucked away from their life. Don't want to destroy it because that would mean it goes into a landfill and destroys the earth a little bit. I don't know what to do with it. Thankfully, I only spent $1. Everything else I bought is way more worth it than this. And I was given a calendar for free when I bought all the stuff that I bought. So I think the calendar is 1,000,000 times more better than this. I don't know what to say anymore. I can't think of anything else to say, but please like, comment, and subscribe, and if you enjoy my videos, share them. But this, make sure people know not to get this DVD. On the spine it says Jehovah's Witnesses, and here's what the front looks like. Make sure people you know do not get this DVD. It's not worth it. If someone tries to offer to give it to you, say no, you do not want this. There's nothing of value in here. You'll just waste 2.5 hours of your life that you will not get back. I could have spent that 2.5 hours reading the catechism or reading the Bible, or reading about the saints, or looking up online and see if for free I can watch Plan 9 from outer space. I don't know, what do you think I should do with this? Put in the comments what you think I should do with this. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Have a great week.